welcome to day 2 of Casual Connect. My name is Nick, and I'm going to be introducing the speakers this afternoon. To keep you all excited, I have a small selection of prizes here. Before each speaker, I will ask a short trivia question. The correct person will get a prize. Our first speaker this afternoon is Rick MARAZZANI from Gametanium. I'm not going to say very much about him since he has his own slides of his distinguished past, but he has worked for EA, for Pogo, for Maxis, lots of very exciting people. He will be talking about the death or not of PC games. Many years ago, I worked for Microsoft, and you may be interested to know that the most popular Windows application of all time is Solitaire. It's not Notepad, it's not Word. Put a computer in front of somebody, they like to play games. I think as long as there are PCs on our desks, people will want to play games. I will move on to the trivia question. One of the best-selling games of all time on the PC is Myst. To the nearest million units, who can tell me how many units were sold at retail? It's less than 10 million units. Less than 8. It's more than 5. 6. We have a winner. Congratulations. 6 million units of Myst were sold at retail. The only other applications that sold more than that have been The Sims, World of Warcraft, Half-Life, and StarCraft. Now, I would like to introduce Rick, who will tell us all about the death or not of PC games. Thank you.
I should hit the button. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. Kapusta. That's the extent of my Russian, so you don't get any more than that. So we're gathered here today because the PC is going to die, and so are we all. So I'm glad you could all make it to help us note this event and celebrate it. Before we get into it, my name's Rick, and I work for a company called Accent, which most of you probably haven't heard of, but we get the games from almost all of you through our various partners, and we love getting more PC games to support our subscription channel. We run the world's largest games-on-demand subscription service, and we launch 5 to 10 games every week to our subscriber base, which includes cable telcos like Verizon and T-Mobile and Telstra, and we're now expanding into Android. So we'll be launching on Tata, Korea Telecom, and Verizon soon with our Android games on demand subscription. So PC games, rest in peace. They've had a good run. We've all done very well with them. Most of us are here because we've had great success with try and buy games, with PC games, casual games, games on the various distributors, but mostly with try and buy. And I know that it hasn't been so easy lately, and some of you are looking to other platforms. You're looking at iPad, you're looking at Android, and maybe the glory days of PC are gone, but the day where PC is over is far in the future. We're going to be flying around in cars that fly and spaceships. PC is going to be here for a while. I know it seems like the end of days, and maybe your revenue from PC is decreasing. But I will say, if your PC revenue is decreasing, that's your own fault. And we'll talk about why that is, because PC is alive and well. And there are at least a half dozen big distributors here today that are doing very well in the PC business. And while you should be looking ahead to the next platform, PC is an important part of where you should be starting. So here's a look at the sales of PC games and of smartphones over the past 10 years or so. And you can see smartphone in red is almost non-existent. In about 2005, some sort of thing was launched that was really popular, and it started the phenomenon that has taken off. And you can see it's growing rapidly. Smartphones are eclipsing the growth of smartphones is eclipsing the sales of PCs, but yet PC sales are still growing. So in 2011, which is right now, we've hit this tipping point, this inflection point, where PC sales and smartphone sales have equaled each other, and that's just now. And so it's frightening to think that smartphones are now beating PCs in sales. But what you don't realize is there's 10 years of PCs already installed. And it's going to take years for those PCs to go away and for smartphones to replace them. So as you're developing new games and as you're building new brands and new franchises, yes, please, launch on the iPad, develop for Android, but consider also that the PC is important. So if you look at this chart here, look at the blue dot in the middle of each group. Which one's bigger? The one on the right or the one on the left? They're the same. But often in business or when we're this close to it, it's hard for us to tell that the PC business is not shrinking. There are other things that are growing very quickly, but the PC business is still very strong. So yes, the blue dot is the same in both pictures. It just seems that PC is falling behind. And I don't doubt, you guys have a lot of experience with your royalty and revenue checks. Maybe your PC revenues are going down. Again, that's your own fault because lots of people are still doing gangbusters in PC, and it's an important part of their development strategy. So here's what 2012 looks like. I know it's exciting to be in iTunes because you can go direct to the consumer. It's exciting to be on the Android because it's such a wide open, booming platform. But next year, the number of PCs versus the number of smartphones in the world is going to be 2 to 1. So if you're looking for an addressable audience, the PC is the place to be. So there's a lot of words on here, but the gist is, what I've been trying to say is, why bother with PC? Well, because you get so much that is either free or effectively free. You have to develop the games on something. You're probably developing the game. Not many people are developing the games on the device themselves. You're developing on a PC, and you're using C++ or Unity or Marmalade or some other development tool or platform that probably works across devices. So there's no reason to launch a PC game when you're making smartphone games. The online marketing of PC games, and this is the great secret, if you make a PC game that complements your mobile brand, you're going to have all of the try and buy distributors promoting your brand to their millions of users at no charge. So they're putting it in front of their millions of eyeballs on their portals, in banners, and it doesn't cost you a penny. In fact, they're paying you for the privilege, that meager 1% of people that convert on try and buy. Don't worry about the try and buy revenue. That's not important. What's important is you're building your brand with their eyeballs at no charge. So when you're making your Android and iPad games and launching them, direct or getting them to users, you can spend less buying the eyeballs on the smaller devices because you've had help getting the word out on the larger device. And related to that is PC's way better at discovery, at search. You have this giant screen. You have mouse. You have more opportunity to get in front of users. Finding something on this is still difficult. It was difficult 10 years ago in Java and Brew. It's not as bad now, but merchandising is not terrific on mobile devices. Even iTunes is pretty good at it, but not as good as what you get on the PC with a connected device that usually has some sort of billing integrated. Every PC has iTunes or PayPal or a credit card or Steam. People are more likely to have a billing relationship on their PC that they trust than on their mobile phone. People are not accustomed to typing in their Visa number on their cell phone, which causes a lot of friction on Android. But on the PC, you can get that brand in front of people and say, hey, if you love this game on PC, also try it on a mobile device. And it's effectively free to get this cross-promotion. And then the bonus of having this connected device that people sit at all day is people are on Facebook. They're talking about what they're playing. So it's a great way to leverage what people are doing every day and to get in front of them more times than the one time they browse the App Store looking for something new. Your brand will already be cemented in their mind. So one of the best things about PC is that it has a huge diversity of business models and distributors. On mobile, we're not there yet. On Apple, you have exactly one model and one distributor. You can say that there's, freemium, but effectively you're locked in doing business with Apple. It's great you can go direct to the user, but Apple is always going to be in the way. On Android, more distributors are coming about, but it's not as rich an ecosystem as we have on PC already. And if you look at some of the guys here, these are big distributors that offer different territories, different business models, different ways to monetize your PC content in different windows. It's great to make lots of money on the launch of a title. You're featured, you make some money, but there's a tail. And just like in the movies, a movie is at the cinema first, and then it shows up on DVD, and then it's on cable, and then it's on commercial TV. There are windows for games. So you should be monetizing your games over their entire life cycle across as many business models as possible. If you're not doing that, you're leaving money on the table. And I know that the guys up here are writing bigger checks every month in PC royalties. So if you're not partners with all of these guys for your PC content, you're leaving all of that money on the table. It's ad-supported, it's rental, it's subscription. It's things that you might not have considered, but these are established business models in PC that are paying millions of dollars a year in royalties. So it's flattering to have a featured game or a featured collector's edition on one portal. But all of these guys and all of these models together eclipse what any one distributor can offer you. So think about that when you're presenting your game to partners. Get the best deal you can across all your partners. Window the game so that there's a debut and there's a long tail, and you'll be making money for your titles for years to come. So we talked about cross-platform, and you should be moving to where the future is. The future is in smartphone, the future is in tablets, but the future is also in PC. If you do just one or two of these, you'll capture some market related to those. But if you do all of them, what you'll be getting is greater than the sum of the parts. So you can see in my diagram here, I don't think this is scientifically accurate, but it's pretty close, that if you invest in multiple platforms, they will cross-promote each other, and you'll build bigger brands that will make more money over more platforms, and you'll be a more prosperous game developer. So going forward, what can we do as PC game developers to help us make better games that make more money? And honestly, there are things that we're already doing on smartphones, that we're doing already for Apple, that we're doing already for Facebook, but we've not put these features back into our PC games, and I don't know why. They work so well to help us monetize these new platforms. It's easy to apply these into what we're doing on the PC. So for example, social hooks. Use Facebook Connect. Let people brag about what they're playing. You don't have to use monetization in Facebook, but let people tell their social graph what they're playing. We do this on OpenFaint on smartphones. We do it in 10 different ways, but we're not all doing this in our PC games. Metrics and tuning. I know that you guys are looking at your iTunes account 3 times a day to find out what's selling and why, and you're tweaking the games to make sure they're converting as they should. You're tweaking the price. You're optimizing 100 different variables because you want that game to sell. But somehow on the PC, you fire and forget. You send the executable off to your distributor, and that's it. We don't tune the price. You're not fine-tuning or optimizing the conversion of that game. So it's really just forgetting about what you've made, what you've worked so hard on. You should have access to this data. And I'm guilty. Here at Accent, our numbers are not great. Well, the numbers we report to developers, they're not as great as they could be. But when I'm asked, I'm able to dig into our business intelligence system and find out answers to your question. What is the average gameplay of my game? How long are people playing? I can tell you, for example, and this is related to the next point, that hidden object games have gotten consistently shorter over the past 5 years. Back in the day, 5 years ago, hidden object games had 8, 10 hours of gameplay, and that was pretty good value for your money. But now, when a culture of a new hidden object game every day, they become almost like Kleenex, almost disposable. They're sold for very little money, and people are meant to whip through them. And you should care. And why should you care about what happens in the 61st minute? You already have the 1% of the people that have played. You have their money. It's kind of sad that you only have 1% of the people paying, but you should care about keeping them engaged in your game, engaged in your brand. And I know when I look at my business intelligence, I can see that a handful of developers are still making big, great, long hidden object games. They don't have to. They could make shorter games. They could churn them out faster. But the result is they're making much more money, both in try and buy and in subscription and in ad support, all three in ad supported, because they make great games that people come back to and play again and again. So they might be down to 6 to 8 hours of gameplay, but that's much better than many hidden object games that are just 2 hours, 2.5 hours of gameplay now. And in a subscription model, in an ad-supported model, that's not going to fly. And in a retail model, no one's going to pay $19 or even $9 for a 2-hour game. And I really want you guys to consider building brands. I know there's a lot of Me Too, hidden object games are almost interchangeable now. For a while, Match 3 was almost interchangeable. But think about what you're making and how it can stand out from the rest of everything out there. Build a brand, build a franchise. When you're building the first game, think about the sequel. How's the story going to flow from one to the next? Don't worry about hitting a ship date so you can have a game of the day. Worry about having content that is going to stick on users' hard drives and is going to compel them to seek out your brand for the next title. That's going to build your company. That's going to make you richer, rather than just getting the quick hit of a game that was featured for a day and now we're on to the next title. If you want to own the customer, you need to own the mind share by making a franchise that they latch onto. And I honestly don't see a lot of that anymore. The guys that do, it's kind of obvious. Real does it, PopCap does it, iWin does it, but below that tier, a lot of developers are not doing that. They make something spooky and scary and gothic and they ship it. There's nothing distinct about it. And they're on to the next something spooky and gothic, etc. So build something that you own, an IP that you can cherish, which is my last point, which brings me to this. You need to value your IP. And this is something that you've worked hard to build. It's something that you've put time and energy, invested money into. And I have to say that over here in the Russian-speaking countries, in the CIS, you guys don't protect the value of your IP as much as your American partners do. Or perhaps you're not given the opportunity to. So we have the kapusta. We have lots of them. So I'm wondering, who will give me the streaming rights to their game for 1 cabbage? No? Who will give me the iPad rights to their game for 3 cabbages? No? Because in America, this would cost me lots of money. It would cost me maybe $100,000 per title for these same rights. But yet, over here, it comes with the package. Who will give me a collector's edition for 4 cabbages? No? Oleg? You want a cabbage? So the point is, you guys work as hard as anybody else. Just because you speak Russian doesn't mean your games are inferior. Your collector's edition is as much a collector's edition as anyone else's. And just because someone's in North America, their titles shouldn't be treated differently than the titles from over here. And there's more developers over here. There's more developers committed to new PC content over here. And my rational self-interest in encouraging you guys to be greedier for your rights is because I want you to make more money. I want you all to thrive. When you thrive, when you're happy, you'll make more games, and I will be able to keep launching 5 to 10 games a week. And then when you move to Android, I'll be able to get the Android rights to those games. But if you guys go out of business or go into social games or start making database software because PC games aren't paying the bills, then I lose. So I want you guys to stand up for dollars, like they pay the American developers, instead of kapusta, like they pay the Russian developers. And I'm done.
Thank you, Rick. We have time for a few questions. If you would like to raise your hand if you have a question, I can bring the microphone to you. No questions? Well, maybe I can ask one then.
Okay.
Once upon a time, casual games were $20. Now they're significantly less. How do you go about maintaining quality when the price that you receive per title is significantly less?
Charge more. If you're only charging kapusta for a game, then you're not going to be able to make great games. But if you stand up for a higher price point, you're going to be able to make better games. And lowering price does not help developers. The goal of lowering the price is to gain market share. You guys don't care about the market share of your portal. That doesn't help you guys. You care about the rev share that and the revenue you get from your distributors, all of them. So stand up for a higher price point. I know that try and buy is not an effective business model. Ad-supported from us and from other distributors out there pays 2 to 1 per user over try and buy. So try and buy, you monetize 1% of the users, and most people aren't paying you a thing because they're playing 60 minutes for nothing. But in ad-supported, every minute is monetized. It pays 2 to 1. In subscription and rental, which other guys offer, including Accent, it pays almost, sometimes 5, 10, 20 over what you make per user on try and buy. So stand up for business models that are going to monetize your content the best. If you have something disposable, then sell it for $3. But if you have something that is a franchise that you're building and you want this to grow and you want to make as much money as possible, then stand up for a higher price point and stand up for business models that will deliver it.
We have a question.
Can I get 6? No. The question is, what's your take on Windows 8? And because you're comparing PC and the other markets, what's your take on the evolution with it coming on Windows 8 and where things are going with PC and tablets? Can you say a few things about that?
I don't know much about Windows 8, but I do know it'll help get you onto the Windows mobile platforms, which is something that I'm sure Microsoft is keen to do because they don't have a lot of software support yet for their phones. What they have now, they've probably paid for, but they'd like you guys to be making it because you can, because it's effectively free, and it's going to help their ecosystem grow. From my mobile perspective, we do need another viable platform. We need another smartphone. We don't want 1, we don't want 2, we want 3, and so do the operators. They want 3 strong contenders. And yes, I'm not including RIM in this list. So we're going to have iPhone, we're going to have Android, and Windows Phone is going to make a go of it. So it's good that they'll be able to have that software support and that cross-platform development to build that ecosystem, that there'll be this third option out there, and that'll be good for consumers.
We have time for one more question. You are all very shy. Rick will be here if you want to ask him a question personally. But first of all, let's thank Rick for a wonderful presentation.
Dziękuję.